Have you ever met somebody that seemed amazing and you can't wait to start dating them? Or maybe you've already started dating them and then you find out that they're not fully divorced yet. They're separated maybe, but they're not fully divorced. What does that mean? How is it bad? And what do you need to do about it when you find yourself in this situation? I've been in this situation, so I can tell you exactly what to do and not to do. So let's talk about it. First of all, just be aware that many states don't even have legal separation. Where I live in Texas, separation is not a legally defined thing. So if you live in one of those states and you're dating somebody who is not yet divorced, that means you are dating a married person. Now, of course, for them, that could mean that maybe their spouse charges them with adultery if they're dating you and they're not fully divorced yet. Then you find yourself in the middle of that kind of a mess. But more importantly for you, you're going to see a whole host of potential red flags come your way if they are not fully divorced. First, there is the emotional readiness to date. If you're a guy like I am and you're dating a woman, chances are very good that the woman was the one who initiated the divorce process with her soon-to-be ex-husband. Women initiate divorce about 75% of the time. So that means very likely the guy, the soon-to-be ex-husband, didn't want to get divorced and may actively be fighting to get her back. And because of the amount of time they have invested, probably years, and then if there's kids involved, that adds a layer of emotional complexity as well. But if they have a lot of time invested together, he has way more time invested in her than you do. So that means if you're doing some things that are unattractive in her eyes and he's doing all the things right, that means there's a very high likelihood that they might actually reconcile. But aside from that, even if that's not a possibility, she needs time or he needs time to heal from the breakup. And that really can't fully start until the divorce is finalized. At the very least, it won't start until they're living in separate houses. And speaking of that, if they are living in the same house, that adds a whole nother layer of complexity. Again, especially if he didn't want the divorce and now you're this new guy in his home dating his wife. And if they do have kids together, then you have to be okay with the idea that they are going to occasionally do things as a family. Now, the right thing to do would be for you to be included in that as well once you're exclusively dating or in a full-fledged relationship. If you're excluded after you're in a full-fledged relationship and they're always doing stuff with their ex and or their kids, that's a bad sign. On top of that, you may also find that they have not yet told all their family and friends about the separation and pending divorce. And you'll find this out probably if you begin posting pictures of the two of you on social media and tagging them in it. I've been in this exact situation. All of a sudden, they freak out because they've got people asking them questions about, well, who is this guy? I thought you were married to Jerry. And then they have to go back and explain to these people that they've been avoiding explaining to about the divorce as to what's going on and who you are. And in my case, I was dating a woman who had been separated for 3 years, but they had not told the majority of their family and friends about the separation and pending divorce. You can absolutely bet the guy didn't want to get divorced, so he wasn't going to be the one to start to spill the beans. And because she was financially dependent upon him, she didn't want to piss him off. So they'd kind of settled into this comfortable stalemate where it was just maintaining the status quo and nobody was really putting forth any effort to move the needle forward towards actually living separate lives. And I got caught in the middle of that, and I don't want that for you. The other potential pitfall is if the person you're dating is financially dependent upon their ex or soon-to-be ex, because then you've got the issue of they may not want to actually separate houses because they can't afford to do that. Or even if they have separated houses and they're living in two different places, they're still dependent upon their ex for their own livelihood and well-being. And if the ex stops paying, if the ex loses their job, if the ex gets angry that they're dating you, guess what? It can become a huge financial mess. Let's assume, though, that you've already found yourself in this situation. You're already dating this person. You already are really head over heels with them, and you don't want to just call things off now that you've realized that they're not yet fully divorced. What do you do then? I would absolutely set some clear boundaries about what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate. In my case, going back to the woman that I was referencing, she would sometimes socialize with her ex without their kids. And unless I was invited, which I never was, in my mind, that's totally wrong. If they're separated and working towards a divorce and they're in an exclusive relationship with you, that should not happen. So draw that hard line in the sand. No socializing with the ex, just the two of them. The same as you would them going out with some other person of the same gender that you are. Like, I'm in an exclusive relationship now with a great woman, and I would not be going out at night drinking with a single female friend. I just wouldn't do that out of respect for my partner. And so whether we're talking about an ex or not, it's just not appropriate. Now, if we're talking about a family holiday function where the kids are there, I think that is okay, but it's even better if you're exclusive that you are invited to join them in that. The next thing I would want to know is, what is their time frame? If they're still living together, what is their time frame and their plan to live in two different places? If they've already moved to two different places, what are they actively doing in terms of moving towards finalizing a divorce? Do they both have lawyers? Is there an agreement drawn up? Are they going back and forth on the details, but it's pending soon? Because in my case, there was never really an agreement drawn up. There was never a lawyer contacted because, again, her husband didn't want the divorce, so he was dragging his feet on everything, and she was not terribly motivated to do anything about it because she was completely financially dependent upon him for most of the time that she and I dated. But let's put aside everything I've already discussed. You have to understand that when somebody is in the middle of a divorce, even if there's no chance of them going back to them, and even if they're not financially dependent upon their ex, their emotions are going to be wildly all over the place, and you have to be okay with that if you're planning to date them. They may be super hot and passionate for you one minute, and then they may ghost you for days on end following that, because they will go through periods of despair, of depression, and then they'll switch to moments of happiness and elation and joy. And oftentimes they don't see it coming, and they find it very hard to control. And it may be impossible for you to know what's going to trigger them from one mode to the next. And if they do have kids involved, the kids' emotions are going to be very raw also. And there's a very good chance that the kids don't want to see them get divorced either. So then there's guilt on top of everything else I've brought up. So following my relationship with that woman, which ended probably about a year and a half ago, I vowed to never ever date another woman again who was not yet fully divorced. And that is absolutely what I recommend for you. Don't do it. It's just not worth it. I just know of too many horror stories where things have backfired and gone horribly wrong, or at the very least, create a lot of drama and headache for you. And you don't want that, and I don't want that for you. Remember, I do offer one-on-one coaching. That can be in the form of a phone call or a Zoom session, or you can simply email me your problem. I'll record a custom video just like this one and get it back to you within a couple of weekdays. If you want more info on that, it's down in the description or on this card right up here. But let me know your story about what's going on with you and who you're dating down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.